everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful week. Welcome to InfoScope. I'm your host, Hannah Kim. Today we have some of the latest from the IT and science world. So let's open up the show with a look at what's coming up in the first segment. There have been new developments about the use of augmented reality for educational purposes, in particular, physical education. With these new projects, students will be able to enjoy gym classes regardless of the weather or location. We'll have more on this in just a moment. Now, since 2013, the annual Destination Imagination Korea Finals event has always been hosted by the city of Gwangmyeong in Gyeonggi-do Province. The winners here get to move on to the main Destination Imagination Global Finals event, which then brings in bright minds from all over the world. With that said, we have news that Gwangmyeong received an award of appreciation by the organizers. Here are some more details on this next on Briefing Scope. The Global Creativity Competition organizer, Destination Imagination, awarded a plaque of appreciation to the city of Gwangmyeong, Gyeonggi-do Province, for having created a ground on which Korean students were able to flourish and do well in the global finals for the past 4 years. A trial run of physical education classes infused with augmented reality in one elementary school showed that 90% of the students were satisfied and that they'd become physically healthier. Researchers plan to develop a VR platform that lets students enjoy other sports, and such programs will be implemented in 50 schools in Seoul by 2019. Those programs look so fun that even I want to give them a try. Physical education definitely helps students exercise more on a regular basis, which is why I think this technology is very, very important. Now, moving on to the next part of our show. Last week, I asked our viewers with pets if you ever thought that your pet could understand the human language or human symbols. Well, this week, we're going to present you with research that shows how dogs could understand not only what is being said, but also the emotions involved. And staying on the topic of animals, scientists often gain inspiration from the natural world, especially animals and their ecosystems. And now, new research has targeted marine animals and how their bodies or behaviors can be applied to our human lives. Take a look at this next video to understand this concept better. Here's Industry Inside.
This is a beaver, with a body length of about 60 centimeters. Even though they are small and do not have much fat, they can maintain their body temperature in cold water. Air trapped in their coarse fur helps them stay warm. A group of researchers from MIT noticed this and calculated the ideal hair density for effectively trapping air and water. This research can be applied to making wetsuits.
For example, wetsuits are now made of thick neoprene rubber, but what if we used a much more lightweight material, something with a hairy texture, and instead of using rubber, we're using air for insulation, and it could be a lot more lightweight and still effective in water.
The boxfish, as its name suggests, has a box-shaped body, but their edges are rounded, which reduces water resistance. One German automaker unveiled a concept car that makes use of the boxfish's carapace to reduce air resistance. Korean researchers have been conducting research on reducing air resistance in automobiles by using the structure of leatherback turtles. Leatherback turtles have no skin on their backs, but their vertical ridge-like lines jut out and reduce water resistance, allowing faster movement. These clever natural features of animals are being applied to our everyday tools. Seo Jung-jun has been raising a pet dog for 5 years now. At the end of a long day, he is welcomed home by his animal companion. Seo believes that his dog is capable of understanding his words and feeling his emotions.
5년 동안 키우는 동안에 봤을 때는 다 알아듣는다고 난 생각해요. 우리가 어떤 행동을 하면은 쟤도 같이 똑같이 따라서 행동을 하니까 그게 다 알아듣는 거 아닌가 난 그렇게 생각해요.
Now, new research shows that Seo may be right. Researchers in Hungary did MRI scans of 13 dogs to analyze how their brain processes different phrases and tones. What they found was that dogs process language the same way humans do.
Dogs also prefer to use their left hemisphere to process word meaning and the right hemisphere brain region to analyze intonation.
The researchers found that when dogs are praised in positive tones, the brain's reward center becomes active. However, the reward center does not react to meaningless words spoken in a positive tone, or praises given in a neutral tone. In other words, dogs can process not only the meaning of words, but also the emotional state. The researchers say that humans and dogs have gotten along not by coincidence, but because both species have similar methods of processing language. The research and its results were published in the global academic journal, Science. The Himalayas are often called the roof of the world. Many mountaineers attempt to scale them, but some of them succumb to the high altitudes. However, those who live in the Himalayas, like the Tibetans, are not affected by altitude sickness, which occurs when you can't get enough oxygen at high altitudes. For the Tibetans and others, there have been gene modifications that help them adapt to such environments.
이 유전자들은 산소 운반을 도와주는 역할을 하고 혈관 생성을 도와줘서 그 사이로 혈관으로 그 산소와 양분이 잘 이동할 수 있게 도와주는 그런 역할을 하고 있습니다.
In Africa, where malaria is common, people's red blood cells have changed in shape to look like crescents, boosting resistance against malaria. The malaria parasite invades red blood cells. However, when the cells are shaped like crescents, the parasite cannot proliferate easily. In one village in Argentina, there is a high level of arsenic in its underground water supply, but the residents have excellent arsenic metabolism capabilities. Humans have adapted to different regions in order to survive.
그러니까 우리 유전자가 DNA 염기 서열이 정적으로 변하지 않는 게 아니라 어떤 환경의 영향에 따라서 동적으로 변화될 수 있는, 그러니까 돌연변이를 유도하고 그 환경에 적당하게 적응해서.
Experts say that understanding these changes in genetics will help explain why some diseases are more common in certain regions.
I know we were just talking about genetic modification, but on a similar note, Korean researchers have now become the first in the world to artificially modify proteins. Apparently, this process may also help facilitate the understanding of diseases and the development of new drugs. We'll bring you more information shortly, but staying on the topic of medical stories, although there are many different treatments for Alzheimer's, the side effects are quite substantial. But what if I told you that there was a new, highly effective medication that removes all side effects by adding wolfberries to hanyak, which is traditional Korean medicine? Let's take a closer look at this research here on Take a Peek.
Alzheimer's disease makes up 70% of all cases of dementia. Most patients take medication to reduce symptoms and slow down the progression of the disease. However, such medications have side effects like appetite loss, giving patients something else to worry about.
입맛 감소, 식욕 감소죠. 이런 부작용부터 시작해서 그 다음에 나타나는 건 이제 체중 감소, 그 다음에 이제 두통이나 불면증 이런 것들을 호소하는 분들이 많이 있습니다.
Korean researchers have developed a treatment while eliminating side effects through hanyak, or Korean traditional medicine. After making combinations with some 200 different ingredients, they found that adding wolfberries to a herbal formula called Gwangmyeong made an effective treatment. A mouse with Alzheimer's disease that was administered hanyak could reach its goal 20% faster than before. Nerve regeneration hormones spiked, resulting in a restoration of brain nerve cells. Researchers also found lower levels of beta amyloid, a substance that appears in high amounts as brain cells degenerate.
아밀로이드 베타 같은 경우 그 치매의 환자 내에서 가장 많이 발견되고 있는 그런 병변이고요. 그 아밀로이드 베타 플락은 거의 한 50% 정도 감소되는 효과를 보였고요.
The researchers believe that there are no side effects since all ingredients for hanyak are natural, and hope that hanyak will also help boost physical health in the elderly. The human body has about 1 million types of proteins, all created based on genetic information. Modified proteins are formed when phosphoric acid, glucose, or any other molecule attaches to protein molecules. When these modified proteins are in normal cells, the non-protein molecule dislodges itself from the protein and repeats the process. However, if the substance remains attached, This can lead to cancer and other disorders. Researchers have been stymied by the inability to create such fusions artificially until now.
현재까지는 그 비정상적인 단백질 변형된 그 형태를 만들 수가 없었기 때문에 그 질병 치료제를 그 스크리닝하는 그런 실험을 할 수가 없었습니다.
Korean researchers have become the first in the world to artificially modify proteins. The process works by attaching a phosphate to a protein and replacing the phosphate with glucose, methyl, or any other substance.
인산화, 아세틸화, 메틸화는 암을 유발한다고 알려져 있고요. 그리고 인산화는 또한 치매나 알츠하이머를 유발한다고 알려져 있습니다. 그리고 당은 당뇨병을 일으킨 대표적인 비정상 변형으로 알려져 있습니다.
The researchers hope that this technique will allow mass generation of abnormal modified proteins and boost research on treating cancer and other disorders. Sick-building syndrome is triggered mainly by formaldehyde, toluene, and benzene. These chemicals are found in building materials, but even in trace amounts, they can trigger reactions in a person's nervous system.
조직으로 흡수가 되니까 신경계통에 영향을 줄 수 있다는 거죠. 눈이 따끔거리든지 두통이 오든지 소화기 증상도 나올 수 있고 아토피가 있는 이제 아이들은 훨씬 더 과민 반응이 나올 수 있겠죠.
Toluene is one of the most harmful gases, and the government's recommended minimal level for it is 244 ppbs. In other words, if there are more than 244 particles of toluene in 1 billion particles of indoor air, toluene can cause sick-building syndrome. However, conventional technology has been unable to detect the amount of toluene.
질량 분석기라는 게 있는데요. 일반인들은 이거를 사용하기는 힘들고요. 실질적으로 지금 상용화된 센서들이 1ppm 정도 측정한다라고 하는데 실제는 그 정도 측정을 못하고 있어요.
Now researchers from the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology have developed a sensor that can detect even very small amounts of toluene. Hundreds of catalysts that detect toluene are arranged in a hexagon frame and attached to a nanofiber material in order to make the catalysts more attractive to the gas. This sensor is capable of detecting even 100 ppbs of toluene. Moreover, users can easily keep track of the figures with a smartphone application. The researchers are now looking into using different catalysts to detect different harmful gases.
I think this particular sensor will be very useful for our digital generation because it will be available through a smartphone app. But besides these technological benefits, it can also be valuable to our health, as building sickness syndrome is hard to diagnose, and more often than not, some residents may not be even aware that they are suffering from it. Well, we hope to hear more about further upgrades in this market in the future, but this wraps up today's show. Remember, InfoScope will be back next week with more useful information from the IT and science worlds. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye!